Hello everybody, Ghostberry TV, back in action for you here today. This might be a little bit of a controversial video, because I'm gonna be a little hard on some of the planes in the game. I'm not meaning to trash your favorite plane if your favorite plane's on this list. And I want to be clear, I am a big fan of Starform. I love what they do with the game. I think they work very hard, especially, and the main thing that attracts me to this game is their constant march, their constant striving towards creating a well-balanced game. I'm not claiming they're perfect at it. They're juggling, what, somewhere between 30 and 40 airplanes now in the game, so that it's never gonna be perfect, right? And because of that, because they're constantly tweaking things, what you end up with is a situation where it feels like a few planes kind of fall between the cracks a little bit and maybe get left behind a little bit. So I'm going to go through planes that I consider to be the quote-unquote dead jets, the obsolete planes in the game. Once you have all 20 hangar levels and all the planes at level 20. Which I don't even have them all at level 20 yet. But this is me thinking, if you had all the planes in the game at the same level, there are a few planes you honestly would never pick. Not even me, but like, I'm just thinking, like, I don't think anybody would really pick these planes. That just comes from me having flown many of these planes and understanding what makes each one kind of special, and seeing the buffs that have come out and the nerfs that have come out with each update. These are the planes that have gotten left behind. But as always, I want to hear what you guys think. If you guys agree, disagree with this list, let me know. And if, just in case anybody from Starform is watching, this is not meant to criticize you guys at Starform. I know you work hard. This is meant to maybe just point out, hey, pay attention to these, if you will, for the next buff. So let's first start out with the FA18 Hornet. Not the Super Hornet, just the standard bird here. And yeah, where do we even begin? This plane is honestly extremely mid. And what I mean by that is that there's no situation in this game, specifically no gameplay mode, whether it's team deathmatch, elimination, VIP, or air superiority, and no combination of those with any of the maps that are currently in the game, where this plane just shines, where I don't feel like, not only would I rather have a different plane, but honestly even another medium fighter. This feels not just like a mid-aircraft, but a medium fighter. Honestly, perhaps the worst medium fighter currently in the game. It's not that I absolutely despise it. I mean, it's not atrocious at anything, but it combines what feels like attack plane type speed with the ability to only put one of those medium manual missiles in the air at a time. Because it's a medium fighter, you only have 6 missiles. Its cannon is solid, but not great. It carries its speed through a turn pretty well, but it doesn't have enough speed for that to even matter, to be honest with you. I mean, there is just really no situation in this game where I feel like this is the aircraft to have. Even if there were only the medium fighters in this game, each of the other medium fighters do feel like they bring something more to the table. Whether it's the F100 with its rocket attack that can overwhelm enemies from the front, the M2K, which is the star of the medium fighters, external fuel tanks, a great cannon, and great speed. The Fulcrum can outmaneuver it, and also has the external fuel tanks. Yeah, and I can go on and on. The Saabs, feel like they have better missile packages, and yeah, there's really no reason to use this plane over any of the other mediums in the game. And that's what's really kind of just disappointing about it. And then when you think, you know, not only can you compare it to the other mediums, but there's another Hornet in the game. And the Super Hornet itself is not really considered a fan favorite in this game based on its current stats. But I don't know anyone who would take this plane over the Super Hornet, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I mean, that's really all that can be said about this plane. There are a couple of small tweaks that I would recommend, and that's what I'm going to do for each of these aircraft in this list today, is offer some small tweaks that could really fix these aircraft and make them go from obsolete to really fun to play. The Hornet here, I think you could increase the top speed to match the Phantom. I think that would be a good fix. It still wouldn't make it the fastest medium. For example, the M2K would still be faster, but just giving it a top speed over 800 would really change the way people play this plane and would really open it up a lot, and being able to carry good speed through a turn would now matter. On top of that, I would take the manuals. You can only put one in the air at a time, and I wouldn't change that ability, but I would make them do slightly more damage each. We're talking like only 5 or maybe 10 more damage each, because you can only put one in the air at a time, so they should hit just slightly harder. And I think that would really open this plane up and make it a real threat in the sky. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Am I right about this plane? Am I wrong? And what changes would you make to the plane if you had to? Alrighty. And so, next on the list here, the Su-33 Sea Flanker. Probably considered the red-headed stepchild, if you will, of the heavy fighters at large, but also just amongst the flankers. I mean, seriously, of all the flankers, this one feels like it's just a step behind. Because I can think of at least an advantage the other flankers have over this plane once you've unlocked them all. You have the Su-27 has like a better special ability, for example. You have planes like the Strike Flanker, which I feel like has a better missile package with the fire and forgets, and can also have multiple in the air at the same time. You have the Super Flanker, which I feel like is better for closing the distance and beating up enemies, you know, at that mid to short range kind of fight. And yeah, the Sea Flanker here just feels like a good step behind. And then when you compare it not just to the flankers, but to all of the heavy fighters at large, you have, you know, the 5th gen heavies, which obviously have the stealth trait and better maneuverability. You have the Tornado, which has an incredible special ability, and the advanced hunters. You've got the newly revamped F4, which has its hunters and a great special, which give it an amazing turn rate. The Super Hornet is almost identical to the Strike Flanker, which I already spoke about. So I don't see why you would pick this plane if you have all of them at the same level. You know, let's say you have all the planes at level 20, or at whatever level. There's no reason you would pick this plane over any of the other heavies, and that kind of puts it in a bad position, I think. And that's why I think this plane could definitely use some help. So yeah, where do you even begin with that help? Well, I've had a couple ideas. I really thought long and hard about this, about what someone might do to really help out this plane, because it's easy to say a lot of things that might make a plane OP, but the purpose here is not to create a plane that's OP, it's to create a plane that's still in balance with the other fighters. but is more viable as a fighter in its own right. I suggest using those front canards to justify giving this thing a better turn rate. Not anything crazy, maybe only a single degree, maybe 2 degrees. I think that would help it out quite a bit. I also think after you increase the turn rate, if you're only going to let one of those manual missiles be in the air at a time, maybe do what I said to do for the F-18 and slightly increase the hit, the damage, I should say, of those missiles, just by like maybe 5 points each or something, or possibly making them harder to dodge by increasing the turn rate of those by 1, and also slightly bumping up that speed. Very slightly. Like I said, I don't want this plane to be OP. I'm not advocating for that, but I am saying it does need a little bit of love to bring it out of being obsolete. Because like I said, you know, as it currently stands, I don't see why anybody would pick it if you have another heavy fighter in your stable. And these little tweaks could really help open up this plane and make it a lot of fun. Once again, let me know in the comments, do you agree? Do you disagree? Have I gotten the Sea Flanker wrong? Or do you think it also needs changes, and what changes, you know, you think would make a lot of sense on this airplane? I look forward to hearing from you guys. And we have the F11 Arvar. It's a lot of people's first interceptor, and when you first get it, it's a great plane. It's a fun plane. Those 6 long-range missiles do a lot of damage. However, once you have the other interceptors, there's really no reason to play this plane again. Both the Foxhound and the Tomcat have short-range capability with their guns and their heat-seeking missiles. And the Aardvark lacks any type of ability to defend itself at close range. On top of this, it's one of only 2 planes in the game without a cannon, and the other one, the J-20, the final interceptor in the game, has an incredible amount of speed and stealth, and carries more missiles. So there's really no reason for this plane to exist at that point. Once you have just the J-20, this plane is just going to feel like a lesser than version of the J-20. The J-20 does everything this plane does, and does it far better. If there is any plane in Metalstorm that desperately needs some attention, it is the Aardvark. It's the plane I feel that needs the most love to help it stand out, because right now, as someone who has all of the interceptors in the game, I can't tell you any good reason to play this plane. And I used to love this plane when I first started flying around with it, and as I moved up the ranks with it, I continued to enjoy it. But those days are kind of long gone. I mean, soaring up to 30,000 feet in the beginning was great, but now there are other planes that do it better. Now, when I talk about maybe the devs showing this plane some love, I'm not sure exactly where I would start with this plane, if I'm being honest. Because any small buff you make to the missiles might make it too OP. These things can already one-shot the light fighters and several of the mediums. So it is a hard fix to come up with. I would possibly argue give it not a different top speed, but greater acceleration, and maybe 2 more sets of flares. But even then, that might be too much. This is a difficult nut to crack with this one, and I'm looking forward in the comments to hearing what you guys have to say. Maybe one of y'all can come up with a great setup that would make this plane not OP, but would give it its own place amongst the interceptors once you have all of the interceptors. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. This is Ghostberry TV saying, fly fast, fly hard. I hope to see you guys in the skies next time.